Hello, Wisconsin beer fanatics. This is Joel Geyer for Badger Beer Report, and we have another awesome interview today with yet another brewery that is on its way to hopefully opening here in the not too distant future. So I have with me today Paul Morovits. My
Yes.
apologies, Paul. And we are talking about Deux City.
Do.
And Deux City. I got to remember that. So Deux City out in Prairie du Chein. And this is one that you guys actually messaged and reached out to us to make sure that we were aware, and we actually weren't. That's why we always include in so many of our broadcasts that if folks know of any breweries in planning or brewery news, to make sure to reach out, and we get awesome stories like this. So Paul, first, thank you so much for joining us. We're really excited to hear more about what you got going on over there on the far western part of the state.
Thank you so much, Joel. You and Greg have been great. I found you guys, your site on YouTube a couple of weeks ago and watched some of your stuff. And I'm like, shoot, I think I should reach out to these guys to let them know that we exist or that we are about to exist. And it was great. Greg reached out right away and spoke with him, and now we get the chance to talk to you. And this is just really appreciative of what you guys are doing. So
Absolutely. Well, so Paul, we can start first with kind of your background.
sure.
So how did you and kind of the other owners kind of come together to start this brewery, and what has that process looked like in terms of timeline and how the pieces have kind of started to come together?
Sure. So all of us are basically kind of lifelong friends.
Mm-hmm.
We've all had separate careers, and we all are still employed. Like probably most people that get into this, it ends up being a second career. We all got to that age where it was like, if we are going to do something, now's the time to do it. I guess it all started. It's been over 5 years ago. I kind of got into the homebrew thing, like so many other people in the brewing industry. My dad had passed away, and we had kind of always talked about doing something. We never did, and I'm like, can't wait anymore. So, kind of jumped all in with some, small semi-pro equipment and just started learning on the fly. And my story is probably cliche with so many, just like so many other people, but you just go down that rabbit hole and it just becomes so much fun to learn, and to start to get to know, how much actually goes into this. But it's truly just kind of a passion project for all of us. Like I said, kind of a second career, but now is the time to do it, and we're throwing caution to the wind, and here we go.
So are you guys local to the area then, to Prairie du Chein? Is that where you guys are
Yes, from? We all grew up there in that area. Okay. Three of us went to high school together in the same class. One was just ahead of us. Didn't really go to high school there, but spent time there. He had family there and has been there for like the past 30 some years. So all been friends for a very long time.
Yeah.
So.
Was there a specific point where things kind of clicked into place with all four of you in terms of like coming up with a true vision for what you were like, okay, we're doing this and this is what we want it to look like?
It was kind of just me. I just started thinking, I'm like, this is so much fun. I think that we all have a passion for this. And I'm like, I just kind of floated the idea, like, what do you guys think? And, the person, one of the guys that I started homebrewing with, he was all on board. And then we brought in the other two guys later on as we started to kind of get a little more serious about it. One of my partners, Mark, has been instrumental in as far as working on the business side of a lot of things. We've applied for some grant money, just permitting, getting our construction project that we are hopefully getting off the ground here soon going. And then Jason and Matt, the other two partners, they both have been contractors. So they'll come into play here soon as well. but then just with help with everything else, they've been great. So we all kind of come from different backgrounds, but so we'll all bring something a little bit different to the table. But I mean, I think that we all share the vision of this is something that we look at as, like I said, a passion project, something as a second career that we're all going to move forward with. We're all pretty excited about. So,
yeah. Well, so obviously with my own mispronunciation at the beginning, I think it's really important for you to explain to people the name and as well as its significance, because we did look this up. Like we kind of had a little bit of background, but I think it means more coming for you to get a true kind of full story behind it and what it means locally to people. Sure.
So Prairie du Chein is actually, if people don't know, it's the second oldest city in Wisconsin behind Green Bay. And Prairie du Chein is a French term. It means prairie of the dog. So we were trying to come up with some sort of name. And I was trying to think of something French just because maybe it would fit. And we started throwing around some stuff. And actually, I was out with my wife and the word "deux" came out. And I'm like, well, yeah, that means two. And so I floated it by my friends and they're like, yeah, that's not bad. And actually now, even last week, we were in our little brew house and my buddy's like, the more that I keep doing that, it's a perfect name. So we did. We came up with Deux City, just means, second city basically. Mm-hmm. So that's what we came up with. So.
Well, I personally, I love the name, love the branding, because I personally appreciate when a brewery is really speaking to a local place, whether that's a city, a neighborhood, especially in your case where it is like the first brewery, not just in the city, but the area, which we'll talk about here soon. Sure. So I think it's really neat. And it also is a name, though, that will lead questions. It will lead people to ask questions about it. Sure. Because if you were just Prairie du Chein Brewing, that obviously is very straightforward. People aren't, people don't have to dig too deep to figure that one out.
Right.
In this case, I think it's going to lead to more conversation about it, which, like you just said, gets the opportunity to provide more background on the area for people that are not local, which I think is really, really cool for a brewery to be able to do.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's, craft beer is about a story, and that's
100%.
That's part of the charm, I guess, of the craft brewery. I mean, people don't just want to come and drink like $5, $6, $7 pints when they can drink something at home. I mean, it's part of the experience. So
yeah, absolutely. Well, and speaking of this location, one thing that I obviously love covering is, in all my travels and talking about where breweries are, how many breweries are in different places. And as I'm sure being from the area, this has been like essentially a craft brewery desert, where there really is not anything remotely that altogether close to Prairie du Chein. I think the closest brewery is actually in Iowa, in Elkader, about 25 minutes away. And the closest Wisconsin brewery is like 50 minutes away, Potosi. So it is just, what does opening a brewery there mean to not just the community, but to really kind of that whole part of the region of Western Wisconsin?
I must give credit to, there was Driftless Brewing, which was probably, 25 minutes, half hour from Prairie du Chein, same county, just in the northern part of the county. But unfortunately, they had closed here a couple of years back. But really nice place when they had it open anyway. But I think, just as us over the past even year and a half more so specifically, we've had pretty positive feedback. People seem excited. We've heard lots of comments like, this area needs something like that. I know even in the city, they've done, some research and they've had planning committees and how people come up with ideas of businesses that they would like to have in the area, and brewery was one of them. So, it means, I think it just adds to our excitement, to be kind of, not necessarily the first, but I mean, if we are the people there, like you said, in that little desert area, that would be great. But just to add to the community and, of Prairie du Chein and then in craft beer community itself. So.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's awesome. So I think in the live stream I mentioned I grew up for the first half of my childhood on the western side of the state, a little ways north of Prairie du Chein,
Okay.
kind of closer La Crosse area, like Viroqua. It's part of that general area. But
great area.
yeah. So, but I have been down to Prairie du Chein as a child. I went there a couple times. It's a gorgeous area. I hope that I'm able to get out that way for the brewery. And kind of following up though on this idea of the location, and the fact that you are kind of now the only brewery, the only show in town per se for quite a ways. Have you found already kind of different opportunities as well as challenges to kind of being the only place that is going to be open in like the immediate area?
Yeah. I mean, I think with any sort of property or building or anything with that, it always takes a lot longer than you think.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that's tale as old as time for breweries.
Unfortunately, people always ask me when I want to be open. I always say last year. So,
yeah.
And I would have said that last year too. So I'm just impatient, but yeah, there's been some challenges, not to get too much into the weeds, but we do have a couple of options as far as location. I mean, we do own a building that we in downtown that we are looking at doing some renovation to. And there's also another opportunity that potentially could work out for us as well. So there's some things still up in the air, but yeah, just challenges with, getting licensing through the state, TTB stuff, construction, all that kind of stuff. And that's where Mark has been invaluable for us to spearhead a lot of that effort going forward. So, but that's part of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, I like to try to enjoy all of it, but I'm still impatient. And I'd like to be.
Yeah, the paperwork side of things is a little less fun than when you're getting to like sample the beer and and talk about it with people. So
yes, absolutely. So, but our goal is to be, whether or not our goal would be initially to be able to have product to sell, whether that's locally at some other bars in our area. With some kegs, just to keep our name out there, whether we do some limited canning stuff for, on some shelves locally. I would anticipate that happening before our tap room, just because of the way things played out, which is fine. Like I said, I just look at that as an extension of our marketing and just to build our brand. So, but that should be hopefully this summer. So,
okay. Yeah, because that's pretty that segue, because I was actually going to ask next about like kind of a time, if you have like a general timeline, because obviously, like you alluded to, we've talked with so many people with opening a brewery and the processes behind it, and I think I would say a majority, if not almost all of them, it takes longer than what the initial plans are, as you said.
Right.
But have you gotten to a point where you kind of feel a little more comfortable with like, I know you mentioned this summer that you're hoping to have beer out in some capacity at least.
Yeah, I mean, because we do have a construction project that we got the okay for.
Okay.
I think it's just waiting for some attorneys to dot some I's and cross some T's and things like that. We do have the construction people, the subcontractors, everybody lined up, and then it's just a matter of if we can arrange the timing of all that. So
yeah,
but our project should go, once it started, it could go fairly quickly, hopefully. So, but yeah, it should be this summer.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've actually kind of seen that you've done a couple little like tasting events, and as we are talking now, I know this will be coming out afterwards, but I believe you have one this weekend as we are speaking right this moment.
We do, yeah.
So how have those been going? How have they been received? The feedback, just in general, what has that experience been like for you? And do you feel like also a second question with that? Do you feel like there's momentum gaining with these? Like, have you seen progress with them?
Okay. So actually it's weird. So the first time we actually did one is, this summer, it'll be a few years ago now. We, some people that we knew, they were launching like their own little, venue space, outdoor space. kind of a soft opening. And then I asked if we could serve some of our stuff. And so what we did is I think the same thing. I think we had like maybe 3 beers and a seltzer or something that we provided. One of my friend's bands came and played. Obviously, we weren't selling anything, but what we did is after my dad had passed away, we started a scholarship kind of based on his name through the high school. And we continue to do that to this day. So we took donations. So that was well received. We actually were invited to do a tasting this past October in the city. They did they always have their farmers market, and it was like their fall fest. So we were able to get like they provided like a 1-day license. I mean, we weren't selling anything, but we had 10 gallons of a Scotch ale that we provided, and it went quick. And people were pretty excited. They kept asking, when are you guys opening? You know, where are you going to be? I did another tasting for St. Patrick's Day because it's always a big parade in Prairie du Chein. So I had a couple of beers there. We had some positive feedback, and then we are doing one again this Saturday. I just want to keep brewing, trying to get our name out there, trying to build some buzz, you know, so that when we do open, people know that we exist. So, but yeah, so I think actually all the beers have basically been different too.
Yeah.
Except for maybe a couple, but yeah.
Well, that also segues perfectly into what I want to talk about next. Once again, because I do want to dive into the beer itself. I know Greg and I kind of mentioned a little bit of some of the plans based off of the conversation you guys had, but we'd love to rehash some of those details from, you know, maybe more in depth in terms of what you are expecting when it comes to beer, because I know, like I said, you were rattling off some names, and I see that this Saturday you've got a Czech Pilsner, a hazy IPA, Belgian double, a cherry sour, a couple of like you have a pretty wide variety of beers, but I know you mentioned lagers being a key part, maybe some Belgian stuff. So floor is yours to kind of talk about hopefully some of the plans that I know will change and ebb and flow, but at least going in, what your thoughts are with beer for the brewery.
Well, in my mind, you can't beat any style of German lager or Czech lager and any Belgian ales. So I could drink those beers nonstop and be happy for the rest of my life. But, you know, I think going into it, we really want to nail, you know, the so-called just beer, the beer. People, 80% of your people that are going to come in are still just going to drink a light lager because that's what they know is beer. So we want to have nail those brands so that people, hey, I just drink a Busch Light or a Miller Lite or something. Hey, we got this. It's going to be just like that, or, you know, very similar to that. Hopefully better.
Yeah, it's only better. Yeah.
You know, my absolute, you know, favorite lager style is just a Munich Helles. So that's been one of my passion projects, is to get to nail one of those. But yeah, and then basically have a wide variety of stuff so that it can appeal to a large group of people. You know, I plan on doing, you know, hop waters. I would like to get some NA beer, which initially that might be purchasing some stuff from, you know, because that's a different animal. But you know, even if people are doing the THC stuff, just having options for people. And then as it goes along, people are going to tell you what they want by what they buy. So obviously, you know, our core range will start to develop by what people buy. You know, and then you can always start mixing in different things because people may not know what they like until they try it. So, but yeah, our biggest thing is to have, you know, beer, so that, you know, just your average everyday beer drinker can come in and say, yeah, I can have that. That's good. So,
well, and it sounds, I mean, when you can do, I think you mentioned at one point, Greg, you're hoping to have like a variety of lagers too, not just necessarily like one or two, but to have kind of the choices, because I think that in this case, that is going to be a big thing to open eyes for people, to be like, all of these beers are somewhat like, there's like, but they're all different. and they're all
Yep.
going to have like intricacies, with the different malts and hops, and it really can be an opening a door moment for a lot of these folks. And
Sure.
as someone, I love lagers. I mean, that's my what I drink. Like I said, even though I travel, I drink all the styles when I'm traveling and visiting new breweries. But if I'm at home, mostly drinking like, I love Czech lagers. I meant Helles was my favorite for a long time as well.
Absolutely.
A good Kolsch or even a cream ale. So I totally get all of that. So do you plan though, as you kind of said, things falling into place, are you planning to do like true flagships, or are you wanting to have maybe a couple that maybe come back, but not necessarily true blue like all the time on?
Yeah, I think, I mean, I have in my mind, if we have a couple of 3 different lagers, like a Kolsch is a good gateway to a lager because it's basically very lager-like, a blonde ale, something like that is similar, a pale ale, you're starting to get a little hoppier, but
up,
those are things that you can guide people into trying some of your other stuff. I mean, so I have kind of some ideas of things that we would probably start with. But then, like I said, I mean, I think that will be fluid to the demands of what our customers want, because I mean, I could brew 15%, imperial stouts. And if nobody likes them, well, just because I do doesn't mean that I'm going to stay in business very long to sell them to anybody. So, you got to follow what your people want. I mean, you have to stay true to what you do, but you have to give the people what they want. So.
Well, especially when, like we talked about already, when you're the only show in town, it's not like Denver or even Milwaukee where you have breweries that specialize, because there are so many options that you're able to do that, because people can go to different breweries for specific things, or they can go to a place like, like a lakefront that just has kind of runs the gauntlet on things. So yeah, I totally agree with all of that. So aside from the beer itself, I know that you're still kind of working out, details like taproom and all that kind of stuff, but what kind of experience are you hoping to provide for visitors in terms of both, I know, like people that are maybe going to be local and regulars, as well as people that maybe are only going to be there as a tourist, maybe like one time?
Sure. Yeah, we really, I mean, and this sounds cliche as well, but you just really want to have a comfortable, inviting space for everybody. I keep telling one of my partners, I'm like, we don't want a bar. I mean, you want a nice bar area, but you want like more of, just that loungy, comfortable feel.
Different seating options. Yeah.
Different. Yes. You could, and that's just it. You could have, depending on your space, you can have different areas too. So people can have tables, they can have couches, they can have whatever areas to sit at, whatever fits their mood that day, or their group that they're with, or whatever. So we really want to be able to provide a little outdoor space as well. And that's one of the options that we have, because it would be a really, really nice outdoor area. Because I'd like to be able to do, live music and stuff, because that's just me just being a huge music fan, or all of us being a huge music fans. But it's just another reason for people to come hang out. And it's just, a nice summer afternoon, or even if, whatever it is, or an evening where it's nice, where people can come hang out and listen to some live music. So, but yeah, we're just trying to really hone in on just a really inviting, comfortable, friendly atmosphere that people just want to come and hang out in. So.
Yeah, for sure. And do you know, like, in terms of like food or other activities, do you have any ideas on any of that kind of stuff yet?
Yeah, I mean, we do want to provide food. Just number one, I think it's a responsible thing to do in your tap room.
Keeps butts in seats too.
And it does. It keeps butts in seats. Yes. We've thrown around some ideas. We haven't settled on anything yet, and we'll probably start fairly small initially with our kitchen, just because the kitchen's food's a whole nother animal too.
Oh yeah.
And you don't want to start off poorly and then just get a bad name with that. So, but we will be doing something, and then building off that. So we've just got a couple options in areas that we might go in. with the food. I guess we haven't totally nailed that down yet, but although I will say that Mark, one of our partners, has gotten into doing some smoking of some meat and grilling and stuff. So
yeah,
that could be
I can
an
imagine
option.
that might be a popular option.
That could be an option. So,
yeah.
But that's kind of where we're trending towards.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that all sounds great. I'm personally excited about this too. And I kind of want to hear now, we've kind of talked about both from like a macro view of the area and the region, as well as kind of the theme, the beer, everything. So I kind of want to take some time here for you to just be able to kind of summarize and give, like, not necessarily an elevator speech, but just to kind of tell people like why they would be excited about Deux City, and why they would want to or Deux City, and why they would want to come and visit.
Wow. Okay. Let's see if I can, I think that what I want people to get out of their experience when they come to Deux City is to feel the passion that we have for it. The pride in that we take in producing the stuff that we do, the pride that we'll put into our tap room. I hope that comes across in everything we do with, from the time that you open the door and someone says hello to you, from the time that they, that they greet you, that they're asking you about, have you been here before? What would you like to drink? What do you like to drink? And we could take them on that journey to the, just the quality of the space, the cleanliness, everything, so that people will feel like, these guys really care about what they're doing. And I can feel that in what they're doing here. I guess as a kind of just a small thing, or my main goal, that's what I would say it would be, because then everything else falls into place behind that. So if they generally know that these guys care about what they're doing, they know what they're doing, they're going to have a quality experience, and that's what it's all about. So.
Absolutely. Well, and so Paul, can you also make sure, I want to give you the chance here to guide people online to where they can find more information, where they can follow you, kind of keep up with the progress, as well as if there's any way that people wanted to reach out to you as well with additional questions or comments.
Yeah, absolutely. We are on Facebook at Deux City Brewing Company. You can find us there. You can also find us on the web at www.deuxcitybrewingco.com. So that's Deux City Brewing Company abbreviated.com. They can find us there. I know that we will probably be doing more social media stuff as we get moving, forward on this stuff. Just bear with us. It's our website isn't complete yet. We don't have everything on there, but I think we do have something where people can actually sign up to join our mailing list. Mm-hmm. So
I think Greg did that for us already. I'm pretty sure he generally is on top of that kind of stuff.
I didn't create our website. I'm not. That's way above my
the back end stuff. I'm not great at that either. So I sympathize with you for that.
So I think there's a space on there. So that way, I try to post on Facebook when we're going to be doing events, mm-hmm. and I can also start putting that on the website as well. But that's the best place to reach us. There is a contact email on our website as well that comes to me. But that's the way to reach out to us.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and if folks, don't do the Facebook and whatever, I can assure you that whenever we see any type of update, we will be sure to share that with folks on our brewery reports that kind of come and go. Just kind of depends when there's news. But yeah, Paul, this has been so great. I am so excited for you and for the whole Prairie du Chein community. I think this is a really cool project. We are very much looking forward to now following your progress, and we appreciate that you reached out to us, that we could be made aware of it. Because this is great, and we wish you nothing but the best of luck here moving forward into the future.
I appreciate your time. You and Greg are doing great work, and you don't have to butter me up to when you guys come over. You guys can get some free beer out of us. So
yeah, we will have to. I
no-brainer.
will have to get over there. I have in-laws in eastern Iowa, so at some point I may have to
sure.
try to make a detour over that direction, and take the kids over to Effigy Mountains. And it's just a beautiful area too.
Oh gosh,
make
right?
a whole little
Absolutely.
trip out of it. So
absolutely, yeah. We appreciate what you're doing. I
yeah.
appreciate your time.
Awesome. Well, thank you again, Paul. And for everyone listening, as always, remember, whether it's where you're visiting or where you're living, be sure to drink local everywhere. Cheers, everybody.